Hey everyone, it's Amber. I like to talk to you today about the importance of having the spirit of humility. Humility is also the same as meekness that we find as one of the fruits of the Spirit in Galatians 5. It's a modest or low view of one's own importance. And searching through the Bible, I find the opposite of humility is pride. Isaiah 28:1 calls it a crown of pride. Now, why a crown, I'm not sure, but my guess is because that's where it affects us first, is in our minds. The enemy puts prideful thoughts into our minds, and if we start to believe them, they'll set into our hearts. And being human, it's so easy to put on that crown of pride, whether it's just by getting an A on a test or a job promotion. It's so easy to say, yes, I did it. I worked so hard to get here. But then God's right there saying, well, what about everything I did? Behind the scenes, you didn't even know about. You worked hard, but you still wouldn't be where you are if it wasn't for me. There's so many people in the Bible destroyed or punished because of pride. We see people like the Philistines, Sodom and Gomorrah, Chaldeans, or even Israel. And Satan was thrown out of heaven for that reason. Pride. Pride leads to evil, destruction, and even the cost of your soul. Pride prevents hearing and learning from God. But having humility, as it says in Proverbs 22:4, leads to riches, honor, and a long life. Zephaniah 2:3 tells us to seek the Lord, seek humility, and it may be that you will be hidden in the day of the Lord's anger. It's also important to have humility because in Ephesians 4:2, it tells us we need humility to be united in the Spirit. A video I watched, this guy was talking about humility. He called it a miracle. Beg God for the miracle of humility. And if you look up the definition of a miracle, it says it's something highly improbable, something not true or could even happen. So that tells me humility isn't something we can obtain ourselves, by ourselves. That is something that has to come from God. And if you know the parable of the Pharisee and the tax collector praying in the temple, is such a great example of pride and humility. The Pharisee, showing pride, was praying in the temple, making sure everyone was looking at him and hearing what he was saying. God, I'm better than this publican because I give to the poor. I pray, I fast so many times a week or a day. And then we see the tax collector in the corner, crying his eyes out, begging God for mercy, humbling himself before God, telling God all of his wrongs and how he is going to make it right. And the Bible tells us he went to his house more justified than the Pharisee. And just with God speaking to me about this over the past few weeks, and even listening into Bishop Wright's YouTube channel on Kingdom Praying in the last week, or even Brother Lucas's message, it seems like all of this has been, everything being said is just kind of mixing in with one message, and that is God is calling his people to repentance. God has some things he wants to give his people. He wants to use us for his miracles, signs, and wonders, but there's some things in the way. We need to lay down that crown of pride and remove anything in our hearts and lives hindering God from doing what he wants. So I urge you today, lay down that crown of pride. Ask, beg God for the miracle. for that spirit of humility, so that we can be teachable and gain wisdom, riches, and honor in God's kingdom. Don't let something like pride cut you off from God.